Let me share it with you. This is an African bullfrog, also known as the pixie frog, due to its scientific name. These guys are carnivores. They feed on birds, insects, rodents, and even amphibians. These guys are preyed upon by jackals, snakes, birds of prey, even leopards, and I once saw a ground hornbill eating one of these. They are also cannibalistic, meaning they eat their own species. The male bullfrog is also known to eat his own tadpoles when guarding. Males can reach up to 24 centimeters. Females are half the size of males. They breed after the heavy rains in a shallow pond. The female bullfrog lays 3,000 to 4,000 eggs. How amazing is that? Most of their lives they spend underground estivating to avoid dehydration. During their time underground, most of their body shuts down and they become dormant. This was quite a nice sighting. I'll see you next time. Hey guys, this is Nal from Machaba Camp, and look what we found today. A lion's roar can be heard up to 8 kilometers away, depending on the terrain. After the tiger, the lion is the second largest big cat species in the world. Lions live in big groups, which are called prides. Lions rest for 18 to 20 hours a day. Look how lazy these guys are. Male lions are a lot larger than the females, and the males weigh more. A pride like this will eat on average every 5 to 6 days. Out here in the Okavanga Delta, these lions specialize in hunting buffalo. Sometimes they'll even feed on each other. Once these males get a little bit older, they'll eventually leave the pride and the females will stick together. Look at all the spots on the youngsters. Once they get older, the spots will fade away. We are so lucky to see these lions here in the Okavanga Delta because most of Africa is losing their lions. There are only about 16 to 20,000 lions left in Africa, and their numbers are still declining, and that's why they need our protection. Out here, they're also known as swamp cats, and you can see why. They also have to be very wary of crocodiles. this is Nala from Machaba Camp, and today I found an armored ground cricket. These guys are also known as the armored bush crickets or the corn crickets. Look how big he is. These guys are omnivores. They will eat anything from plants to insects and even baby birds. These guys are preyed upon by birds, baboons, spiders, lizards, and even mongoose. These guys might be fat and flightless, but they do know how to defend themselves. The first line of defense is their armor, which is full of spines. Did you know that these guys have very strong jaws? They can even draw blood from a human. Males make a loud and harsh noise that is known as stridulation, which scares all their predators away. When attacked, these guys squirt blood out of their body, which smells really bad and tastes very bitter. The blood-like fluid is yellow to orange in color, and they can spray it up to 6 centimeters away. If all else fails, they'll vomit all over their body to scare away all the predators. These crickets are cannibalistic, which means when they need protein or salt, they'll eat each other. Let's leave this little guy be. See you next time! Hi guys, this is Nala from Machaba Camp, and today I'm going to be talking about something a little bit different, the baboon spider. Baboon spiders are a subfamily of tarantulas. There are more than 600 baboon spider species worldwide. This one here is a Malalan golden brown baboon spider. Phew, that was a mouthful. Baboon spiders live in burrows which they line with silk. In the hot regions, their burrows are deep to protect the spider from the heat. Besides their burrows, we can find them under logs, rocks, and even old skulls like this one. Baboon spiders can live up to 30 years. Their bite is harmless to humans, but it can be very painful. All baboon spiders are covered in hair. Look at this guy. These guys are mostly nocturnal. They are known as the sit-and-wait hunter. They sit in their burrows and wait for their prey to walk past. Mating usually takes place in the spring. During the mating season, the males will wander around looking for females. These guys eat beetles, small frogs, lizards, crickets, millipedes, and even grasshoppers. The males are smaller than females. When threatened, they'll raise their front legs and show their big fangs. These guys will molt a couple of times throughout their lives, leaving their old skin behind. Hi guys, this is Nala from Machaba Camp. We are out on a game drive and we found something very interesting. Look at this fresh snake track we found going over the road. is super fresh. Let's see if we can follow it. Itself up and gives a hissing noise, and that's where it gets its name from. As a warning, they'll give a hissing and puffing noise before they strike. It's one of the fastest striking snakes. The Puffet is part of the viper family, meaning that they have very large front fangs. Slow-moving snake, and it hunts by ambushing its prey. You can easily recognize this snake by looking at its triangle-shaped head. These snakes grow up to 1 meter in length, with the males being larger than the females. About these snakes is that they give birth to live young. How amazing is that? The venom of the snake is cytotoxic, meaning it can destroy your cells. The bite itself is extremely painful. At one stage, I saw a business of Banded Mongoose killing one of these, so they also have to be careful. Careful when walking through grass. I think it's time to leave the sky and go for a sundowner. Hey guys, this is Nala from Machabit Camp, and today I need my brother's help because we are in search for some bark scorpions. Scorpions are fossorial, which means they adapted to living underground. During the day, you'll often find scorpions under bark, in holes, and under logs. And that's exactly where my brother finds them. To spiders, salafuges, mites, and ticks. Scorpions are invertebrates, which means they don't have a bony skeleton. In southern Africa, we have at least 130 species of scorpion. Scorpions can eat huge amounts of food in one go. How do we know which scorpion's dangerous and which is not? As a general rule, we find scorpions with small pincers, thick tail are dangerous. Big pincers, small tail are harmless. Depending on the species of scorpion, some use their pincers and others use their tail to kill their prey. Scorpions are mostly nocturnal. They do their feeding and hunting during the night. It is estimated that scorpions spend 95% of their time inactive. That's a lot of time doing nothing. Tonight, I'm going to show you something super interesting. We've been waiting for a couple of hours now, and it's finally nighttime. Nobody actually knows why this happens, but if you shine an ultraviolet light on a scorpion, it actually glows in the dark.
Hi guys, this is Nala from Machaba Camp, and today we're going to talk a little bit about termites.
Did you know that there's more than 2,700 different species in the world? Termites generally feed on plant material, like grass, dead leaves, and dead wood. Termites work on a caste system. Each colony will have a king and queen, soldiers, and workers, and then after the first rains, there'll be an eruption of winged elites. I'm covered in termites right now. Look at all these termites. They come out in a frenzy after the first rains. Once they have found a partner, they will lose their wings. This mound is home to a colony of termites. This mound is made out of soil, termite saliva, and dung. The structure of the mound can be very complex. They've got tunnels, different rooms, and fungus farms, and the termites can regulate the temperature inside the mound. Soldiers and workers can live up to 2 years, while the queen can live up to 40 years, or even longer. If you ever get stuck out here in the bush and you are very hungry, a handful of these termites can give you about 500 calories to survive. They're actually a good source of protein to a lot of animals. These bullfrogs love to eat termites. Hi guys, this is Nala from Machaba Camp, and I want to talk about the place that I call home, the Okavango Delta. This is the Okavango Delta, and the Okavango Delta is one of the world's largest inland deltas. NASA took this amazing picture from space. In 2014, this place became a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The delta is in the northern part of Botswana. The Okavango Delta consists of large floodplains with islands in between. In summertime, the rain falls in Angola, and that water slowly makes its way down into the Okavango Delta in wintertime. Delta is voted as one of the 7 natural wonders of Africa. The flood reaches its peak between June and August, which are Botswana's winter months. We have more than 150 mammal species. reptile species. You can visit the delta any time of year. It will never disappoint. Hi guys, this is Nala, and today we're actually not at Machaba Camp. We're a little bit up north in an area called the Panhandle. The Panhandle is the main watercourse supplying the Okavango Delta. So why do they call it the Panhandle? The answer is obvious, because it looks like a handle of a pan. Here we have lots of river channels, thick papyrus, and reed beds. So what is the Panhandle known for? Definitely fishing. So catfish and brim are very common in this area, but the real prize is tigerfish. The annual barbel run is definitely something you should experience. In September and October, the water levels drop in the floodplains, forcing the small fish into the river, and that's when it becomes a feeding frenzy for barbel. Species of fish can be caught in the Panhandle. So the Panhandle is home to lots of hippos and crocodiles, and to the rare Sitatunga. And if you want to see birds, this is the place. Have a look at all this papyrus. Camp, and today I found this little beauty. This is a great foam nest tree frog. Look how well camouflaged he is. As you can see, this guy lives in trees, which makes them arboreal. At the moment, it's quite dry out here, so how does this frog deal with the heat? In order to control its temperature, it changes color. The hotter it gets, the whiter he turns. One way this frog keeps himself moist is by tucking his legs underneath himself. So this frog is able to secrete a waterproof cocoon, which minimizes its loss of water. This frog doesn't actually urinate. It produces a uric acid, which saves a ton of water. One of the strangest things this frog does is that it creates a foam nest. These frogs will always mate while hanging over water. Several males will join one female to create a foam nest. It can take up to 7 hours before the nest is done. So the female lays about 1,000 eggs in a single nest. So the eggs hatch in the nest, and 3 to 5 days later, the tadpoles drop out and fall into the pond. These guys mainly feed on insects. Females can grow much larger than the males. Have a look look at his feet. He has little discs at the end of his toes, which help him climb. These guys estivate during winter. These guys need to be careful. They are often preyed upon by birds, snakes, and a mongoose. This is Nala from Michaba Camp, and one of the animals that we always see around the camp are squirrels. So let's see if we can find one.
This is a tree squirrel, and they spend most of the times in the trees, but they also go to the ground to look for food.
Squirrels are part of the rodent family, which means their teeth keep on growing throughout their lives. 200 species of squirrels in the world. A group of squirrels are called a scurry of squirrels. They live between 3 to 7 years in the wild, but a lot of them get killed by birds of prey, snakes, and even leopard. When jumping, squirrels use their tail as balance. These little guys love to feed on termites. Squirrel babies are born completely blind, and they depend on their mothers for 8 weeks. Squirrel families nest in the trees, and they sleep together in a hole. Squirrels feed on seeds, fruits, insects, and nuts. Squirrels are in danger, they make a clicking noise and they flick their tail. Female squirrels are a little heavier than the males. Squirrels are territorial, and it's mostly the males that defend the territory. Hi guys, this is Nala from Michaba Camp, and look what we found sleeping in our garden. The warthog gets its name from the big growths on its head. They look like warts, but they're not. Did you know that a warthog can run up to 55 kilometers per hour? These warthogs are diurnal, whereas their cousins, the bush pig, is nocturnal. A male warthog is called a boar, and a female is called a sow, and then we also have the little piglets. They sleep in burrows at night. So Mommy will let the piglets go in first, then she'll back up into the burrow, ready to shoot out if there's any danger. You often see warthogs taking mud baths. That helps them control their body temperature and helps them getting rid of ticks and parasites. You see this mud on this tree here? This is a rubbing post for warthogs. Once they've come out of their mud bath, they find a post like this and rub themselves. And then they get rid of ticks, mud, and parasites. You'll often find them feeding on their front knees because their necks are very short. imagine how big this warthog was. Look at the size of the tusks. You'll notice a white tuft of hair on the side of the piglet's face. If you look at it from a distance, it resembles a tusk, and that's what confuses the predator. They'll use their tusks to dig up bulbs and roots. They'll use these tusks as a form of defense against lion and leopard, and even each other. Out here, warthogs are mainly preyed upon by lions and leopard. Out here in the Okavango Delta, warthogs will even cross water. Hi guys, this is Nala from Michaba Camp, and come look what we found today. Look at that snake basking in the sun. So this is a yellow-bellied sand snake, and they grow up to 1 meter in length. They lay between 4 to 10 eggs in summer. This guy is so relaxed. This snake is active during the day and is one of the fastest moving snakes. Look at this, he's really enjoying the sun at the moment. The venom of the snake is mild, and it has no effect on humans. Oh look, he's moving away. Hi guys, this is Nala from Michaba Camp. And today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite animals, the Banded Mongoose. The Banded Mongoose gets its name from the dark bands on their backs. Sociable and live in groups. A group of banded mongoose are called a business. They are nomadic little creatures, which means they move from place to place. Termite mound because it has lots of holes that they can easily escape if there's danger. So what do banded mongoose eat? Banded mongoose eat a lot of things here. I've seen them eat insects, frogs, eggs, and birds. They're so relaxed because I spend so much time with them. If you think think that banded mongoose are quiet. Think again. They chitter-chatter all day long. Banded mongoose actually have a lot of predators. They've got lions, leopards, hyena, wild dogs, birds of prey, and even snakes. The litter size ranges from 2 to 6 pups, with the group caring for the little ones. After 4 weeks underground, the pups finally come out. From Chaba camp, and today my brother Khan found us something quite remarkable. So he was moving some logs and he found us a blind snake. Blind snakes are often mistaken for earthworms. They look like earthworms and are pink or gray in color. They have smooth scales around their body, which allows them to travel through soil. Their main food supply are ants and termites, and that's where you basically find them. They also feed on eggs and larvae of ants and termites. To find their food, they taste and smell where the trail is, and then they follow the trail to the nest. They use their top jaw as a rake, and then rake all the ants and termites into their mouth, and then swallow them whole. Out here, blind snakes get fed on by owls, other snakes, and mongoose. Above the ground, they move in a side-to-side motion, and underground, they use insect tunnels. In order to defend themselves, they release an unpleasant smell. Blind snakes lay 1 to 20 round eggs, and the youngs look after themselves. Called blind snakes. So their eyes are reduced to small black dots under the scale of their heads. Blind snakes are non-venomous and harmless. Hi guys, this is Nala from Achaba camp, and come check what I found today. You see this little guy? This is a Bubbling Kassina. It's also known as a running frog because it walks or runs rather than hopping. They're only about 3 to 4 centimeters. They are terrestrial, which means they live on the ground. They mainly live in grasslands, but they mate in shallow water. When the rainy season starts, the males begin calling. A female lays her eggs one at a time underwater on plant material. They lay up to 500 eggs. That's a lot. They mainly feed on insects. These frogs are completely harmless to humans. As the rains are about to start, I'm gonna head inside and let this little guy be. Hi guys, this is Nala from the Chaba camp, and today we're gonna chat a little bit about buffalo. Look at this herd of Cape buffalo. These guys get so big, they weigh up to a ton. A group of buffaloes are also known as a gang of buffaloes. Look, they're stampeding. Breeding herds like this one can be quite curious. Look at them watching us. Buffalo cows get their first calves between the ages of 4 and 5. Look at this guy, he's covered in mud. They cover themselves in mud to get rid of ticks and parasites. These guys can be very unpredictable and dangerous. That's why they're also known as the Black Death. The older bulls that have been kicked out of the herd are called Dugga boys. Dugga is another name for mud. In the Okavanga Delta, these guys will often cross deep water to get to grazing grounds. The most experienced cows are known as pathfinders. They lead the herd to the best grazing grounds and water. Buffaloes mainly eat grass. It's the bulk of their diet. These guys live for about 11 to 22 years. Look at these big boys. Their horns join in the middle, and that's what's called the boss. They use their horns for defense. Look how alert these guys are. They gotta be because there's lions in the area. The lions here specialize on hunting buffalo. Do you hear all the oxpeckers? If you're walking in the bush and you hear them, it's a good sign that there's buffaloes around. Hi guys, this is Nala from Achaba camp, and today I'm going to talk about a centipede. Centipede comes from the Latin word meaning 100 feet. Centipedes have a pair of venomous fangs which they use to kill their prey. Centipedes are carnivores. They mainly feed on small mice, insects, frogs, and even snakes. They live for 2 to 3 years, with larger species living up to 5 years. A centipede has 1 pair of legs per segment, where the millipede has 2. Worldwide, they estimate 8,000 species of centipede exist. They live on every continent, with 10% living in southern Africa.
to humans, when bitten, it causes huge swelling and it's very, very painful. They live in moist areas. You might find them under wood, under logs, and under bark, and even under leaves. Look, chameleon! That is cool!
So she's called a flap-necked chameleon. So chameleons don't change into any color, they change into shades of greens and browns. So have a look at her feet. So if you look at the chameleon's front foot, you can see that the 2 nails are on the outside, then the 3 nails are on the inside. So, but if you look at the back foot, it's completely the opposite. The 2 nails are on the inside, then the 3 nails are on the outside. That. Look how fast that tongue was! Her tongue is about the length of her body. Oh, wow, she just caught a grasshopper. That was So this chameleon's eyes can move independently, which means so she can see in different directions at the same time. So she'll lay between 10 and 50 eggs, which you'll also bury underground. It'll take about a year before the eggs will hatch.
Hi guys, this is Nala, and today we are at Ngoma Safari Lodge. Ngoma Safari Lodge is in the north of Botswana near a small town called Kassina. Kassina is near the borders of Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Namibia. Let's not forget that Kassina is the gateway to Chobe! Did you know that Chobe National Park was Botswana's first national park? Up to today, it has one of the largest concentrations of game in Africa. Chobe National Park is also known as the land of the giants. There's a reason for that. Chobe is home to Africa's largest population of elephants. Told ya, it's the land of the giants. The Chobe River is what it's all about. Lots of hippos, giant crocodiles, elephants, and big herds of buffaloes. The Chobe River is the boundary between Botswana and Namibia. After the Chobe the Kwando, then the Linyanti, and then the Itenge, and finally the Chobe. The Chobe River finally meets the Zambezi and off they go into Victoria Falls. And now it's your turn to come visit Ngoma Safari Lodge. See you in Chobe! Oh, and did I mention that Chobe has one of the best sunset views?
Hi guys, this is Nala from Machaba Camp, and today we found something quite rare, a dead giraffe. So let's go and have a closer look to see what happened.
You can see this guy came for a drink of water, then passed away due to natural causes. You can see the lines in the sand that this guy tried to get up. You can see how he moved his head up and down as he was trying to get up.
Look at the stick still in his mouth. He must have been feeding before passing away. He must have died suddenly, maybe from a heart attack. Look at the size of my hand compared to the hooves.
You can see that this is an old male because his horns are thick and there's no hair on top. We'll come back later tonight and see if anything has been feeding on him.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning and only one hyena is coming so far.
I think we're gonna let this be for tonight and come back in the morning because this hyena is a little bit shy.
So what we're getting this morning are lots of white-backed vultures coming in.
Look who else came by for a quick meal.
This is a good example of the circle of life. So when one thing dies, it gives new life to other animals.
Hey guys, this is Nala from Machaba Camp, and today I'm going to be talking about the different uses of elephant dung. We all know elephants eat a lot. What goes in must come out. So what do we use elephant dung for? We can actually use elephant dung as a mosquito repellent. All you have to do is light this dung, and the smoke will keep the mosquitoes away for the whole night. And you know what? It doesn't smell bad at all. An elephant only digests about 49% of its food. Elephant dung is mostly fiber, and it can easily be made into paper. They reckon the dung of one elephant can produce 115 sheets of paper per day. Just imagine if you're lost in the bush and there's no water in the area. If you find fresh elephant dung, all you have to do is squeeze it, and that might save your life. You might think this water will make you sick, but there's very little bacteria in the elephant dung. Here's another great survival technique. You open up the dung. All you have to do is pick up the nice piece of hot coal from your fire and put it in the dung. And then you close it up and you go off. Look at how hot that coal is. The whole purpose of leaving the hot coal inside the elephant dung is so that you can start a fire later on. Farmers have been using elephant dung as a fertilizer for generations. At Machaba Camp, we actually use elephant dung to fill up the holes in the road.
did you know that elephant dung is also used in art? There's an elephant dung painting out there that was sold for millions of dollars. Maybe I should start painting. And then there's always my favorite sport, elephant dung bowling. Hey guys, my name is Nala, and today we're walking around Machaba camp and look what we came across. So this is the Okavanga hinged terrapin, and she's also known as the Okavanga Mud Turtle. These terrapins have a hinge for protection. The hinge closes and protects their heads. She's a very large terrapin, and you can recognize her from the yellow blotches on her face. This terrapin likes wet areas like marshes and rivers. In October, she'll lay between 20 to 40 eggs in a hole in the ground, and then she'll gently cover it with mud and flatten it. So she's a carnivore. She'll eat fish, frogs, tadpoles, and even birds, which she'll grab and drown in the water. Look what we found on our walk. The eggs hatch in late summer, and once the hatchlings hatch, they immediately go look for water. When they have to defend themselves, they give off a very strong, bad smell. Terrapins are semi-aquatic, which means they live on land and in water. Just after the rains, we see a lot of small terrapins. That's why we have to be careful when driving through puddles. Could be from lion or hyena. Hi guys, this is Nala from Machaba camp, and today I want to talk about the hippopotamus. The hippopotamus gets its name from the old Greek word meaning river horse. It's often shortened to hippo. Hippo is the third largest land animal. Their legs may look short, but they can run very fast, up to 30 kilometers an hour. Hippos weigh between 1 to 2 tons, with the males being heavier than the females. Hippos are herbivores, and at night they go and graze on grasses. They secrete reddish oily droplets, also known as blood sweat. Blood sweat acts as sunscreen, controls the body temperature, and prevents infection. A male hippo is called a bull, a female hippo is called a cow, and the baby hippo is called a calf. Hippos typically live for around 45 years. Hippos can be very aggressive, especially when they feel threatened. This is a hippo skull. Look at the size of it. The shape of the skull is adapted to living in water. Vital organs like the eyes, ears, nostrils are all situated on the top of the skull. So when this animal's underwater, the vital organs are above the water. When hippos go underwater, their ears and nostrils seal shut, stopping water from entering. The skull is massive, but the brain case is extremely small. Incisors in the canine teeth, they are shaped like tusks. Some can grow more than 30 centimeters long. Hippos can open their mouths up to 150 degrees, showing their sharp teeth. A group of hippos is known as a pod, raft, or a bloat. When a hippo is defecating, it flicks its tail and spreads its dung all over the place. Why do they do that? It's to mark their territory. Within this raft of hippos, there'll only be one dominant male. Quite often when hippos fight, one will end up being killed. Once the hippo has been killed, it's often preyed upon by lion, vultures, hyena, crocodile, and even leopard. Hey guys, it's Nala from Machaba Camp, and we're out on a game drive, so let's see what we can find. Wow, look at those clouds. We might get some rain a bit later. Shells are fused to the body, which means they cannot live without it. As a form of defense, they release their urine, which means that we can't pick them up or else they might get dehydrated. Leopard tortoises nest between May and October. Leopard tortoises live up to 80 years. A leopard tortoise is a herbivore, which means that it eats a lot of greens. Okay, well, I guess he's gonna be walking in. And he is. That is actually really awesome. Leopard tortoises are solitary animals. Leopard tortoises store water in a bursa sack. Leopard tortoises lay 5 to 20 eggs in a hole in the ground. Sometimes leopard tortoises eat hyena poo for calcium, which keeps their shell strong. Did you know that leopard tortoises can swim? Hi guys, this is Nala from Machaba Camp, and today something amazing has happened. Look up in the sky. These are African migratory locusts. Locusts are highly mobile. They usually fly with the wind. They're pretty fast. They can reach a speed of about 15 to 20 kilometers per hour. Locusts have two phases. One solitary, where they live alone, and one gregarious, where they flock together. Locusts feed on grasses, leaves, and farmers' crops. So imagine this. 1 million of these equals 1 ton of food. Look at this! These guys lay eggs in nice, wet, soft soil, so I guess the Okavango Delta is their ideal breeding ground. Take about 10 to 100 days to hatch, depending on environmental conditions. Swarms can travel 5 to 130 kilometers or more in a day. This is the biggest migration of locusts I've ever seen in my life. At the moment, there's lots of birds and mammals feeding on these guys. This is going to provide a world of protein to a lot of animals. This is where we'll be seeing lots of marabous and baboons feeding on these locusts. It's a massive feeding frenzy. And today I'm going to talk about millipedes. We see a lot of millipedes after the first rains. Millipede comes from Latin, meaning 1,000 feet. Millipedes are also known as shongololas. Shongololas come from the Kusa in Zulu word ukushonga, meaning to roll up. Shongololas protect themselves by curling up in a spiral when feeling threatened. Curl to protect their soft undersides, and they also do this when they die. Shangalolas are some of the oldest known land animals.
Another form of defense is to move in a snake-like motion.
They're slow-moving and feed on rotten plant material. Some of them are predatory and will feed on insects. So Shangalolas are born with only 3 pairs of legs, so 6 legs. But as they grow longer, they add more and more legs. Shangalolas are harmless to humans, but they do produce cyanide as a chemical defense. Shangalolas are dark in color, but then you also get some that are bright in color. Upon by a lot of animals, mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. Hi guys, this is Nala from Machaba Camp. One of our favorite activities we do around the camp is Makura, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. This is Opie. He's our best polar in the Delta, and he's going to be taking us on Makura.
Hello everyone.
A Makura is a dugout canoe. One of the trees they used to make makoras from is from the machaba tree. Now we use fiberglass makoras to save all the trees. In the Okavango Delta, the makora is still the main form of transport.
Baye tribe is the first tribe to introduce Mokoro as a transport here in the Okavango Delta.
Frog. Look how beautiful this reed frog looks.
They do their calls during the night.
Look at the leech. Opie taught me how to do this. How beautiful is this? And it also smells good. This was so amazing. Thanks, Opie.
Thank you very much.
Hi guys, this is Nala, and today we are at Ngoma Safari Lodge.
Ngoma Safari Lodge is in the north of Botswana near a small town called Kassina. Kassina is near the borders of Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Namibia. Let's not forget that Kassina is the gateway to Chobe! Did you know that Chobe National Park was Botswana's first national park? Up to today, it has one of the largest concentrations of game in Africa. Chobe National Park is also known as the land of the giants. There's a reason for that. Chobe is home to Africa's largest population of elephants. Told ya, it's the land of the giants. The Chobe River is what it's all about. Lots of hippos, giant crocodiles, elephants, and big herds of buffaloes. The Chobe River is the boundary between Botswana and Namibia. After the Chobe River enters Botswana, it changes its name 4 times. It enters Botswana as the Kwando, then the Linyanti, and then the Itenge, and finally the Chobe. The Chobe River finally meets the Zambezi and off they go into Victoria Falls. And now it's your turn to come visit Ngoma Safari Lodge. See you in Chobe! Oh, and did I mention that Chobe has one of the best sunset views? Hi guys, this is Nala from Machaba Camp, and today I found a praying mantis. It is called a praying mantis because at times it almost looks like somebody praying. Have a look at its head. It's a perfect triangle. Did you know that they can turn their heads almost 180 degrees on either direction? Did you know that a praying mantis only has one ear and it's underneath its belly? Praying mantises can detect ultrasound, which helps them when they're being hunted by bats. To avoid being eaten by bats, they'll jump off their branch and fall onto the floor. Other predators include birds, snakes, frogs, spiders, and even monkeys. They are masters of camouflage. Some resemble flowers, sticks, leaves, and branches. They hunt by ambushing their prey, so they must be very patient little creatures. Do you see those little spines in the front of her legs? Those are used to skewer their victims. These guys feed on insects, small birds, and lizards. They live around 1 year in the wild. These guys mate only once, and the females lay a large amount of eggs in a little case, which resembles a cocoon. When mating, the females are known to bite off the male's head. Ouch! Did you know that these guys were once believed to have special powers? The mantis part of the name came from the ancient Greek, meaning prophet.